Live. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the current. So lovely to have you here with us. And for those of you who don't know us, my name is Hayley Curtis. I'm a Gene Keys guide and just straight up Gene Keys obsessed. This is my friend Lawrence. Lawrence, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name's Lawrence Mack, and I am also a Gene Keys guide. And Gene Keys obsessed, sure. Gene Keys nerd, definitely. Gene Keys dancer, of course. Gene
You are
Keys
such a Gene Keys nerd. You're more
lover, of
nerdy than me,
course.
I think.
I don't, not a contest, thankfully. Just a conversation, which is basically what we're doing here. Just having a great
Yeah.
conversation and shared
Mm-hmm.
contemplation on the
Mm-hmm.
Gene Keys
Yeah.
with what's current and alive for
Hmm.
us in our own
Yes.
contemplation. So,
And like
um,
I feel like we need more conversations like these. I feel like people yearn and crave conversations like these, which is why we wanted to put it out there in the YouTube world so that whoever is listening right now could be part of these conversations as well because they're just so juicy and every time Lawrence that we've had one of these calls, whether we did it on Instagram or here on YouTube, I feel so grounded afterwards, yet
mm,
excited. I feel so open. And I think that's the power of weaving with this transmission. And like you said, just what's current right now. And there's definitely some strong currents in the air at the moment in the Gene Keys world, with Richard bringing a new city for the 55th Gene Key, and which just so happens to be Lawrence's life's work. Gene Key is a 55 line one. And so we thought that that would be a brilliant place to enter into the current today around this word romance, around this archetype of romance. And I know that it is something that both of us, Lawrence, have been contemplating through the lens of the Gene Keys for a long time.
mhm,
You've been
mhm,
writing about romance for a long time, and romance is something that I have been finding in different gene keys over the years and weaving into the way that I guide and the way that I contemplate. And hearing this come through as the city for the 55th, I think has just, brought a lot of richness with it and also a lot of confirmation for our
mhm.
hearts and our souls. And so, yeah, does that feel like a nice place to begin?
Yeah, I think so. I, yeah, I'm very curious what kind of DLs you were having on romance. For those who don't know too, as part of the waves going through the Gene Keys right now is Richard decided or debuted, I guess, a new word for the city of the 55th Gene Key, which is romance,
Hmm.
which it was previously freedom.
Hmm.
And yeah, I'm curious, like what you said you guys in your group were like really getting into it.
Oh
Um,
yeah. We were getting into it.
yeah.
I have a group that I hold called Held, and they are a group of women who already journeyed with me for a whole year through their entire profile last year. And now
Hmm.
this year we do like life integration calls where we just sit with what's alive. And I brought this question around romance to them and I said, like, how do you see this moving in your life? And my gosh, some delicious, delicious pieces came through, which I've got lots of notes that I kind of want to weave in and around today. I think the thing that was most alive for me after Richard's transmission on this, and then the thing that kind of stuck with me the most around what he said about freedom and romance was how freedom without romance can be cold,
Hmm.
right? Freedom without romance can be cold because we believe we're trying to get free from something. Whereas romance without freedom can be suffocating,
Right.
but when you have freedom together with romance, it encompasses the purpose of the freedom in the first place. Like,
Hmm.
what is the point of freedom as a human if not for romance, right? Like, it's not to free ourselves to escape our humanness, but we find freedom which allows us to engage in the ultimate human experience, which
Hmm.
really is romance. I feel like romance is so quintessentially human, romance.
Hmm.
And I feel like it is the highest expression of a human living a life in totality, to be totally in love, not just with another in terms of like the traditional romance of you and a partner, even though it does include that, but what does it look like to be in love with ourselves, to be in love with Gaia, to be in love with life? In my journey, I have learned how to meet myself with love, where it's been, okay, Haley, like, what does it look like to love yourself in this moment? You know, I've learned how to meet myself with love in the pain and the suffering and the hardship. But this word romance, it offers a much richer experience that says, what does it look like to be in love with myself in this experience? Not just meet myself with love, but be in love with
Right.
myself. And I
Hmm.
feel like that is an invitation into an ecstatic state.
Sure. Yeah,
Yeah. Those
I'd
were my
agree.
first, like, my first pieces for me. I would love to
Right.
hear
I
your.
no, I loved it. God, I have just so many entry points
Mhm.
like racing through my head because it's always jolted me because like in the 55th audio with Richard, he's like, you have to romance it is like the key to like
Mm.
unlocking this gift. And I've like contemplated that for so long when I first found the gene keys. I was like, what does that mean? You know, like what does that mean to me? And like what does that mean to like how I view freedom? And it's like to what you were saying about finding a way, your way into being in love with life, essentially. And at the same time, it's like romance is a drug, just like hope at certain
Mhm.
times too. And
Mhm.
I wrote like a whole piece on this about like um after I think you were in London when we went for the Dawn of the Future Human, right?
Mm?
Were you in London for that?
No,
No?
oh gosh, I wish I
No.
was.
I made out there during a peak time of transmutation for myself. It was a wonderful experience, but in that uh, seminar, Richard was doing on like the Dawn of the Future Human, and I had this great, I forget the name of it, but this great, beautiful auditorium, and it was like a Q&A, and some woman had asked a question about the 55th gene key, and uh, Richard was like, I always if I could go back, if there's one kid I could go back and like change the gift for, it would be that one. And then he said it would be the gift of romance. And that like just like blew me open for a few
Mm.
weeks after that. And I ended up writing this
Mm.
piece. It was about like from drama to romance to dharma, or like how to
Mm.
turn drama into dharma. And uh,
Mm.
the key way, I guess, like as I found, is like through this higher sense of romance and higher, when I say higher, I mean more here. Like to me, well, first of all, you guys, Haley blew me open in a guide sense when we were like going back and forth about this through text. She was like, romance is just like your brand. She said that to me, and I was just like, whoa, I've never like I just hadn't thought about it before, and I was just really I was like cracked open because I feel that
Mm.
uh so strongly. Like I'm just a nut job, really, at the end of the day. When with the people I meet, because I was thinking about, I was like, what is like, I was just sitting there, I was like, you're not gonna get me down at the end of the day, you know? Like I'm not gonna give up on the dream. And I think that's like a really key part of
Mm,
um finding romance. And it's not like romance can't be bought. You can't sell it anything. It's
mm,
not looking for it. It's like it's only motivated by presence, and it's only seeking coherence
mm,
at a deep level. And um as it relates to this archetype of the phoenix too, it's like something that's like constantly being reborn and um refreshed. And yeah, if every life is different, I'm sure every death is too. And that is, yeah, there's a lot of excitement, but it's
mm,
not like an overwhelming
mhm,
excitement. It's the excitement of
mm.
just living with an open heart at the end of the day.
Yeah, yeah, the
Hmm.
excitement to just live more completely, like the wholeness, the unity that's found in that romance. Like in my personal contemplations over the last week, both Lawrence and I have both journeyed through a migraine this week. And when I had my migraine the other day, and I was contemplating romance of what does it look like to be in love with myself here, I kind of brushed upon the surface of like an ecstatic state where as I was meeting myself in that romance, I felt like I was tapping into a unity. I felt like I was tapping into falling in love with myself here. I just naturally fell in love with everything more.
Sure.
Like I was
Hmm.
having this moment just sitting outside and watching the kids play, and they weren't doing anything fancy, but I fell in love with them more in that moment. My sister was there and I fell in love with her more in that moment. I was just crying, and my sister was like, what's wrong with you? And I was like, life's just so beautiful. Like that invitation that romance gives us to connect more deeply with each other. Um, when you said about like life, death, all the different pieces, something that also came to mind for me for romance was what what holds us back from romance. Because as humans, I think that we all yearn for romance, maybe more than anything else. We yearn for this romance. Yet, as humans, we also hold romance at an arm's length in our lives. And I was contemplating why that is. And I sort of landed upon the fear of grief and the fear of death and the fear of if I let the romance in, I'm letting grief in because romance comes with loss.
Hmm.
And to love something so deeply, to allow myself to be in love with something means pain to a certain degree. And we don't, we want to hold that pain at an arm's length. And so we end up holding the romance at an arm's length. And then we end up holding life at an arm's length. And then we end up searching for something out there when really it's just on the other side of our hand doing this. Just thinking about the role that grief plays in romance. I feel like it plays a really big role in romance. And what's it like to be in love even with a person once they have moved on from this life? Or what does it look like to be in love with something that maybe you physically can't do anymore? And it's like that still gets to be a romance. And I was even saying with some of my friends earlier this week that one of my greatest romances in this life is with my dad, and he's not with us anymore. But considering how it's really the work with the Gene Keys that has allowed me to be in a romance with him, because before I was too afraid. Because
Yeah.
to let that romance in was to let the pain in, and I'm feeling like I don't have the capacity for it. And so,
Hmm.
with that idea of grief and death and everything, the capacity, having the capacity for romance, we can feel like it's too much. It's too much. But that Gene Keys work is about coming home to our true capacity. The heart is infinite. And then we can
Sure.
actually hold the space for romance in our lives, you know?
Mm.
Mm.
Mm. How long ago did your dad pass?
2011. So I was 21.
Mm.
And it was sudden. He just was there one day, he had a heart attack, and he was gone the next day, and so unexpected. He was 55 years old.
Mm.
Like, yeah, like the romance of that entire experience. Instead of that
Sure.
being an experience of victimization, like this shadow of the archetype, victimization, how when we believe we're stuck in our victimhood, or we're too afraid of the pain, we keep ourselves trapped at that frequency of victimization, and
Hmm.
and we block ourselves from the romance. We block ourselves from letting life in all of its forms, and I think that's something really potent about this word romance, is it holds the space for the suffering.
Right.
Romance includes pain and suffering. And I believe that Richard's use of the word freedom in the 55th gene key does include that as well. But our human brains see that word freedom, and like he said, we think free from suffering, free from pain, free
Sure.
from any of this. Whereas romance comes in and goes, oh no, it includes all of it.
Right.
All of it. Like, yeah.
I think, yeah, to me, the biggest, uh, thank you for sharing that, by the way. That was,
Mm.
dad is a stellar light to
Mm.
create, help create this
Mm.
magical being. So when I've wrote about this a lot, what's come to me at least has been the down and in, like the whole contrast of like freedom, or the
Mm.
idea of freedom being a destination. Like to
Mm.
me, one of the biggest parts and something that had been like tracking my consciousness up the past few weeks is like this idea that I'm arriving before I arrive, you know, and that freedom and romance is really like an arrival, as an arrival to the experience of life. But before you can, before you get there, you still gotta kind of clean up shop. To me, there's like a lot of when I wrote about this for in my essays, or I like the notion of sobriety came up so potent for me because like so much of my journey into individual freedom has revolved around like me becoming sober from booze and considering what sobriety is, and not just from and like a physical or like cellular level, but also like emotionally, and the
Mm.
things that I'm like attached to that keep me spun out and or like directing my energy into places that I know are like not feeding me, and um same with like mental patterns and um perspectives, and uh which is also why the Gene Keys is like such a potent contemplation tool,
Mm.
because it allows you to rewire um, the patterns of language at such a deep and profound level, which is
Mm.
nice because we're in the 23rd at the moment,
Mhm.
to be talking about that. But yeah, it's like the process of getting free is the romance, and then romance is realizing that you're already free. And freedom is letting yourself be whatever you need to be in
Yeah.
some ways. And
Yeah.
I, yeah, anytime I contemplate freedom, I just get thrown into every key. And
Yeah. How can you not?
I can feel like every gift like resonating, collapsing in and on it at the same time.
Mm,
Um, but to your point about romance stretching across time and space in particular, like I was revisiting, I think I told you a talk on like the attraction sphere and talking about the relationships between the lines and how the the chemistry of the lines interact, like the energies of the lines interact with one another, and
mm,
um, considering like hearing Richard speak specifically in that talk about the chemistry of the lines one and line four and the two and the five and the three and the six, which are the romantic
romance.
uh, pairings,
Hmm.
which are just really like different octave shifts
Mm,
in the chemistry field, and him saying specifically like this relationship or this like uh chemistry has like with the capacity to stretch like beyond even death, you know,
mm,
um,
mm,
and to just follow you throughout time. So it's
mm,
every romance you have in this life is just an echo of one that has been like continuing to happen in many ways. And
mm,
at least for me, when I really tune in those moments, I can hear the laughter and like the music of my
mm,
life happening, you know? And specifically this week for me, I felt like I've been in like the end of a Shakespearean play with so much like seeming chaos, but somehow everything is also working out at the same time.
mm,
And yeah, I guess with that, like, uh, yeah, I mean,
mm.
you're in a long time committed relationship.
Mhm. And we
I'm
have the
curious,
romantic chemistry in our attraction sphere, actually.
do you?
Yeah, he's a one and I'm
Okay,
a four.
interesting.
And I also claim that I also have romantic chemistry with Richard Rudd because he's a one and I'm a four.
Okay.
And the attraction sphere for me was the first place I contemplated romance because I am a four. It's called romance in the
Is it?
attractions.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, the
yeah.
gift state. And something really interesting about it is so in the romantic chemistry of a one and a four, it talks about the fact that distance makes the heart grow fonder. So, like when you have romantic chemistry with someone, like having distance is always so helpful for the romance because you need to keep
Mhm.
doing this and coming back together and doing this and coming back together. But then in the line four, the shadow state is distance. So it's frigidity and distance. And this beautiful concept of distance as a shadow state in romance and distance as a gift state in romance, and the role that the frequency of victimization plays in that. Distance with victimization becomes the shadow state. And it's like, I need to hold you at a distance so that you can't reject me. I need to
Mhm.
hold you at a distance so you can't hurt me. Whereas distance in this higher state of romance, in romantic chemistry, is I am safe to be apart from you because coming back together is just such a joy. And it's like I am free to be me and I am free to be with you and you enhance my life. But then I'm in a romance with my own life and then we meet again and I very much feel like that is what Bev and my husband and I are like. We
Hmm.
are we are such different people with
I'm
such
laughing. I'm because I've just realized I've just something's coming back into me where it's like Richard's talking, he's like talking about the line one, the four. It's like one loves to talk and one loves silence. And I was just
exactly.
like,
Yes. Like the silence. I did a retreat on the weekend for the attraction sphere as well. So like I feel very much in the energy of the attraction at the moment. We're talking
Mhm.
about that. Like silence is the communication style of the line one, and dialogue is the communication style of the line four. So Bevan doesn't
Mhm.
need to say much and I won't shut up. Like, it's this, it's so funny. And even like our love languages. So my love language is words of affirmation. Surprise, surprise. His love language is acts of service. He
Yeah.
communicates through doing, not through speaking. And I
Hmm.
communicate through speaking, not through doing. But this beautiful romantic chemistry for us plays out as two individuals who really love their life,
Hmm.
and neither of us needs the other to understand that or get that or be a part of that for it to be beautiful. So
Sure.
I love the gene keys. I'm very introspective. I love my crystals and I love lighting my candles. I love doing rituals. I love cozying up on the couch. I love board games. I love all of these very kind of cozy things. And then
Hmm.
Bevan loves fishing and surfing and golfing and like all of this other kind of stuff. And we've never felt like we needed to cross-pollinate our hobbies. We've
Right.
never felt like, oh, I need you to be on this journey with me, or like he's like, I need you to get in the water and surf with me. Like we've just that is how our romantic chemistry plays out, is we have our own individual lives doing what we love, and then our crossover points are simply for the romance because we're deeply in love with each other. We don't
Hmm.
cross over because we have the same interests or the same hobbies or we do the same stuff together. We cross over simply for being just so in love with each other.
Sure. Of
And there's a lot of playfulness,
course.
there is a lot of laughter, there is just so much encouragement, there is so much just deep appreciation, but we
Hmm.
live such separate lives, yet we
Hmm.
wouldn't want to be alongside anybody else. And like that's really how I see that romance playing out with him, which has taught me a lot about life, that I don't need to cling to the things I'm in love with. I get to be in a
Hmm.
dance with them and I don't have to change myself for someone or something that I'm in love with. I've come to
Hmm.
see that, early on in our relationship, I got that, oh no, like he's into all of these things. I'm not into these things. Maybe I should make myself like these things so that he likes me more.
Hmm.
But very
Yeah.
early on, I was like, but that's not going to be it though, is it? Because I don't want him to love me for a version of me that I have pretended to be. I want him to love me for who I actually am. So instead of trying to do what he liked, I doubled down on my authenticity.
Sure.
And I
Yeah.
think that's part of romance, like when you were
Of
saying,
course.
you alluded to this, it's something that I've been thinking about too, that romance, to be able to be yourself no matter who you're with, I think is a result of romance when we allow ourselves to even be in love with the person that we know that's not going to be reciprocated, or to be in love with the person that's just like the old grumpy bastard at the family barbecue. Like, what is it like, even if you let yourself be in the spirit of romance, even with those people, the result is that you are more yourself in the presence of other people.
Right.
Yeah. Mm.
Thank you. I love hearing about
Hmm.
your guys' story.
I'm
I
so in
can
love
only
with him,
picture.
Lawrence. I'm so in love with him. Like we've
Yeah,
been together for we've just gone 12 years married, but we've been together for like 13 and a half years or something. When he
right,
pulls up in the driveway in the afternoons, I still get butterflies in my tummy. I'm
yeah.
just so deeply in love with him. And I feel like this work
That's
does
beautiful.
nothing but enhance that. You
Right.
know, it allows me to clear out, you know, how the
Hmm.
attraction sphere talks about like cleaning the mirror, clearing out the attractor field. Like this work has helped me to keep my attractor field so clean that I can actually see and feel the romance that is there.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, like what I'm hearing in that is that like romance begins when as soon as you stop trying to like change the world.
Yeah.
And
Stop trying to change
especially in like
yourself,
a
try and change another.
right. And uh
Mm,
so often like relationships I've found, at least for me and Courtney, like the first iteration of our relationship, we were together for like 8 years. Then we split up during COVID, and then we actually have gotten back together. We've been together for three
mm,
years. So
mm.
uh and we have a 1-6
Oh, is that
chemistry.
karmic chemistry?
Yeah. But I have some beef
Oh.
with the karma. I'm gonna rewire it here because uh I think it's only a glimpse of like what that kind of connection is. And I
Mm,
think it's like alluding to like uh chemistry and a more like zoomed out sense. Like romance is a part of every interaction, you know? What kind of romance, what kind of chemistry is happening? Uh
yeah.
depends on many things. But
Mm,
um to what I was saying before is like I can track like so much in my evolution that like in my relationships years ago I was like trying to change the other or withholding parts of myself, hoping that I could be somebody that uh could just make things work,
mm-hmm,
and not just in intimate relationships, but like friendships, simple work interactions.
mm-hmm,
It's like this like awakening. I had a revelation today about this term like collective awakening, and it kind of goes into this like delineation with what's going on with freedom. It's like collective awakening is actually like not, to me, the more I sit with it, like not the best term because uh it's like makes you think it's like something that's like happening to all of us rather than you taking something on, which is really what it is at the end of the day, at least in my experience, has been like
mm,
uh it's like not something that's just like collectively happening to all of us. It's like something that you're choosing like day in and
mm-hmm,
day out, like romance. And
mm-hmm,
like a better term to me is like courageous awakening, because that's like really what you have to do at the end of the day is like turn to go down and in,
mm-hmm,
as Richard was saying, in this sort of excavation and
mm,
uh, unearth the parts of yourself that are just like asking for air. And with romance, it's really about, like, to me, it's like really about listening. Like,
mm.
or not even listening, but just like being receptive.
Active, yeah.
Um, there's no potential for romance if you're not willing to like hear what the other person is offering. And what I hear in your guys' relationship is that you guys really appreciate each other's differences, which is like super beautiful. And I think that's like one of the highest teachings of like the container relationship is to like,
Mm,
and that like not changing is like the moment you stop trying to
mhm,
change yourself or someone else, you start like appreciating. You're like, oh, they're
mm,
like quirky or they're
mm,
ridiculous or whatever it is, you know, and I'm like that too, you know, and all these parts start to glow.
mm,
And
mm, mhm,
for Courtney and I, this 1/6 karmic relationship. First of all, like definitely at the first iteration relationship, I felt that like I could feel like the heaviness of the things that we were moving through.
mhm,
And it was heavy and a lot
mhm.
and also super fun and beautiful. And now really like in this iteration, I feel what like Richard and was saying in that relationship or like the relationship is kind of like for the world. So like I really
Mm,
like relate to like the archetypal story of our relationship in a much
mm,
deeper way, especially after listening to and contemplating so much on romance. It's like
mm,
feeling several romances occurring at the same time. So it's like yesterday we were having one of our favorite romances where it's like she's too hot and I'm feeling too cold in our house. Tale as old as time for married couples. And I was just like having the conversation and like also like having this like conversation above my head where we're just both laughing, you know?
Yeah.
And I I think the highest form of this karmic relationship is to be uh well first of all it's like there's I don't like the word karmic to describe the 1/6 because it feels more dharmic than everything. And I think that's like
Mm,
really the seed that's like hidden obviously in every
mm,
gene key, but also in this like this kind of chemistry, and it gives it, I think, a lot of strength because it is woven by that same cloth, you know, as is everything,
mm,
as is many things. But it's like there's tremendous amounts of just growth, you know, and
mhm,
I really see like the highest form of any relationship more and more is just to revolve the mirror to say it's like, oh, there's like two of this like same
mhm,
two individual, but also the same, you know,
mhm, mhm.
versus the co-dependent wobbling
Yes.
that uh
Yeah. Mm, mm,
is so
mm.
heavy. So,
I mean, that's the nature of romance, right? Like you was talking about, like the choice and choosing. And to me, part of romance is that when we experience pain or hurt or even tragedy, sometimes we get this choice. Am I going to choose to close my heart off because of this? Or am I going to choose to let this open me up even more?
right.
Like, this part of the choice in romance. Like, am I going to choose to remain open? Or am I going to choose to make this mean something about my worth or my safety or, all these pieces? It's like, romance is a choice to choose to live romantically versus choosing to live as though we're a victim to how
Mhm.
other people treat us, what other people say, other people's wounds, the way that other people show up in the world. Like, we can live that way and we can feel that lack of freedom in our lives and we can feel that lack of romance in our lives. But to realize that it's a choice that happens inside of me, like you said, like the courageous to be courageous instead of it just being this collective kind of awakening, but a individual realization that I get to be part of something bigger if I choose to live in this way. If I choose to live a romantic life. And I was even thinking, I wrote down something and like I highlighted it and I was like, yes. I said, because even if we think about like collective awakening, we think about purpose and
Mm,
service, and this is all part of our evolutionary arc and how we're going to change the world and everything. And I just wrote, the biggest impact that we can have on another's life is to be deeply in love with our own.
mm.
Like,
It's
I,
fair.
and I feel that so deeply. It's
I do
something
too.
that I contemplated a lot through my 15 line four that I have in my culture, of coming to realize that my magnetism and part of my highest service and part of the way that I inject prosperity into the collective is just by being in love with the mundane, ordinary nature of my own life,
Hmm.
and just witnessing the impact that that has on someone, where they go, like I was at my one of my best friend's houses a couple of months ago, and she's like, she called me a little frother. She's like, you're just a little frother, aren't you? Like, meaning that I just love stuff. She goes, I was watching stories and just how much you're just in love with like your board games and your piano. She's like, you're just frothing out over these little things. And she goes, and you made me think like, well, what's my version of that? What's my thing that I love? And I'm like, and in that moment, I'm like, this is it. This is it. That that when we have the courage to just love our life, no matter how ordinary the things are that we love,
Hmm.
the more ordinary, the better, I think. Being deeply in love with just, I don't know, going in the ocean. That's invigorating to somebody else's soul because it's speaking to the truth of romance that exists in them too.
Hmm.
And to watch another person live a life where they're in love with their life, not to watch a person who's pretending to love their life, not watching a person who is like, look at all of these beautiful things I have. I'm so happy. You should be more like me. But to watch a person who is in love with their life, which could be anyone in any circumstances living any kind of life. But even when you pass a person like that on the street, there's some kind of coherence, like you said. There's this, I don't know, this awareness that that's it. That's
Sure.
it.
A frother. Oh my God, that's so funny.
A little frother, like frothing it,
Frother.
foaming at the mouth. It's like loving your life.
No, it's real. Yeah, it's like what like it can't be bought, you know? Like romance, once you hit a certain state of absorption, like it can't be corrupted once again. You know,
Mm,
you might get brought down, you know, you might have a tough time, but you're not gonna lose the juice. Romance is
mm-hmm,
like in search of the juice always.
mm-hmm.
And it just finds it in so many places. It's like found the key
Oh,
to finding something that it loves about everything, you know,
yeah.
whether it's like a small thing or it's like the whole thing, but
Yeah.
it can at least like there's like a lot of respect in romance. I
Yes,
I believe,
respect. That
right?
word is written on my notes.
Nice. And you know,
Mm,
like it's so funny because like all our kind of like modern stories of romance in many ways like are about the romance being corrupted or like a true man romance, like
mm,
the fall in many ways.
mm,
But you know, like go back to the chemistry of lines, like so much of like the most ubiquitous, the most widespreading or universal relationship or like coherence between our energies is like companionship or friendship, you know? And through our profiles, it's like most of us are just like all humans at some level are meant to be friends. And
mm,
that's like the basis of like what underlines like the way that we connect to each other is this thread of friendship. And you'll know through your own relationship, marriage, that like the lover is the friend and the friend is the lover. And it's just
Mm.
this like freedom and romance that goes between. And
Mhm.
the gotta pull it back in my head. I just had it. Uh, what was I gonna say? Oh, and the like respect. Like the most uh oh I guess I was contemplating this the other day. It's like kind of like what I was saying in the beginning, I was like picking up on. It's like you're not gonna get me to be pessimistic, you know? Even though like we are alive at a really romantic time and a really deeply like suffering is pervasive, corruption is pervasive, victimization is everywhere, you know? It's like really it's so like romance is like so fragile in a sense
Mm.
and also like indestructible and it's something you can find over and over again. Um, but it's just like, you know, like the most logical thing you can do in a world full of suffering is like be your best expression. Because it seems that the world already has enough victims, has enough suffering. So like if you want to divine logic yourself into romance, like the best thing you can do is to find your way to be in love with your life. And that can be super challenging
Yeah.
depending on like what's going on. Um,
That's where that
which is
energy
why,
of
sorry, go on. Yeah.
I was just
I was
going to
just
say
gonna say,
that
which is,
energy of respect in the attraction sphere it talks about that helps with that, where it's like it you don't have to like what's happening in your life. Like, I don't like it that my body goes through suffering so much with the chronic illness that I live with. Like, it's not about liking it, or even like if you're having a difficult relationship with someone, it's not about like, oh, I like this, but that energy of respect. It's like, and this is the beauty of the gene keys, we can respect the pattern that it's brought our way to
mhm,
alchemize. We can respect, we can respect the karma that's playing out. We can respect the our dharma, we can respect even the shadow pattern of another, or we can respect the pain of an illness or a tragedy for what it's wanting to open in us, for what it's wanting to reveal to us. And so then we can enter into relationship with the pattern instead of just, I don't want this, I don't like, and then we live in constant resistance to our pain, our suffering, our difficulties, our challenges. And so yeah, like to respect the patterns, to respect the karma. In Gene Key 47, we learn that in order to alchemize karma, we have to take ownership for it. And
mhm.
like we don't take ownership when we're going, I don't want it, I don't want it, I don't like it, I don't want it, I don't want it. And it's like, but what if I, yeah, dropped into that deeper level of respect for the pattern, for the archetype, for the journey? There's something
Mhm.
I'd even written down. Romance is a journey through karma.
I'll have to circle back on that. Uh, yeah. I mean, at the same time, you could also say, I guess, that like romance is the realization that there is like karma ends as soon as you see the pattern.
Mm, mm,
That's when it begins. Like that's the end, beginning of the end. It's like once your awareness touches it. So,
mm.
um, yeah, respect. Uh, Yeah, like the paradox is that like to join this like collective frequency that we call awakening is to figure out who we are. Like when I think about romance, it's like, and it's this notion of respect. It's like I have this life force, this like soul wave that I can feel and that I've been like blessed with feeling very strongly for like most of my life, or all my life. And it's like realizing the disservice that I do to negate, to like downplay that and to like
Mhm.
mute that. Like we think by muting that impulse, or I like have found like through my life that like I thought for so long that by like muting that impulse, it would be like it would like put me more into things. It would like put me more into a sense of family, a sense of tribe, you know, because it was like seems to be a way that people are relating or like chemistry is playing out, but it's like actually the 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 safest thing you could ever do is just be who you are.
Mhm.
So,
And realizing that, I think that's where the word freedom comes in as well. Like something that I notice in a lot of people that I get the privilege of working with, especially through the Venus sequence, is a lot of humans have an underlying belief of I'm not free to be myself with certain people.
mm,
And, obviously there's nuance to this. There is certain situations where to be yourself might get you hurt in certain situations. Like I'm not talking about that. But like just, people that feel like I can't be myself at the family dinner or I can't be myself with that person or I can be myself with these people but not these people. I can be myself here but not there. It's like this relationship that we have to the idea of when we're free to be us and when we're not free to be us, and coming to see our own victimization in that based on what we think we need from the outside. Like the dilemma of Gene Key 55 is external validation, where considering where is that part of the block in the romance when we believe that someone needs to validate me for who I am in order for me to be me,
right.
or like even that external validation is that can be seen as like if I'm going to bring my love and my service here or I'm going to bring myself here, you need to like validate that back for me so that I'm safe to be me. And it's like we
Hmm.
we end up walking around in this life through our relating in particular, where we're seeking those places where we can be externally validated that it's okay to be us. And then we believe, okay, I'm safe to be me. But I feel like the 55th gene key kind of wants to come in gently and gently obliterate that
I don't know about
inside of
that.
us. Where it's like, what if I didn't need any sense of external validation in order to be myself? How might that free me to be in the romance? How might that
Hmm.
free me to be myself with others? And like there's a big part of my journey where you know, I used to be very much in that mindset that, okay, I can be myself with these select few people because I'm comfortable and like, okay, they get to see the real me, but then like these people get to see this version of me or this version of me or this version of me. And I've been on a very long, I don't know, like a 10-year contemplation of what does it really look like? What does it really feel like to believe in my bones that I'm utterly free to be me, no matter who I'm in the presence of. And
Right.
just gently playing with that. And it's been an undercurrent of the romance being able to find me, because I think that like this romance speaks to like the law of reciprocity as well. Like when I allow myself to be in love with myself or life and be myself in life, I actually open myself up to receiving so much more love from life,
Hmm.
you know? We've got very warped ideas where we're like, I can't be myself around them because they won't get it. But it's like, but if I was myself, maybe that's the thing that opens all of us up, you know?
I have a few thoughts.
Please.
Uh, yeah, like romance is the end game, right? So like one of my biggest like revelations in considering like romance and like the art of romance is like this first of all like hinges upon like how much I need from somebody else and for myself. So like a lot of my life has been an examination of like reducing the things that I need. And it could be a behavior, it could be a pattern. Like for a long time it was booze. I was like, oh, I just need to like check out. I just need to like disconnect. I just need to like calm down, you know? And then so many things with food. It's like I need to eat this. I need something sweet. I need another. I need another. And you hear like the addiction in this one. And the 24 gene key. But and like in an emotional sense, it's like part of like what trips us up in romance and relationships is like thinking how much we need from somebody else, you know, for
Yeah.
our sense of romance to like feel complete.
Mm.
And that's like where
Mm.
like the art of romance enters for me at least is like figuring out like what is like just sifting through my own projections and like sifting through like what's actually valid, you know, not like, needing external validation, but like what's actually valid in like my lived experience or my like am I living my true expression or am I hiding things? And that's why I was like, for
Mm.
this one, that like really surprised me is like I was immediately shotgunned into like the Ring of Secrets for this. I was like,
Mm.
this is the secret is romance. Because like once you like start finding this romance and everything, you start unlocking the secret, not only to life, but you start like shedding your secrets. And it's
Yeah.
like where the 59th gene key comes in and like
Yeah,
this
the
shadow of
transmission.
dishonesty, you know, because it's
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
the the freedom is just being able to like honesty will like clean your soul. Honesty will
Yeah.
like liberate you. Like the science of liberation is just like it's all about like unlearning the ways ironically that like the world has our world, whatever it is, has like placed upon us, which can be so thick, especially if we don't have like, you know, for me particularly like growing up, like having confusion and like role models and like who to look for as like an example. So like so much, I guess, of my, I
Mm.
guess, accountability and ownership or like responsibility I feel, especially as like a guide through the Gene Keys is, and like the commitment when I became a guide is to be like a role model in whatever way that through these this value system and these teachings and
Mm.
as a service to, of course, myself, because it's like giving myself the gift of like, oh, I can be this best version of myself and also to like everyone else in my life. So,
Mm.
but it's so much unlearning
Yeah,
and
unlearning the dishonesty that we were raised in,
yeah.
that whole the dishonesty culture that says, don't show that part of yourself. Don't be like that. Or you can say this, but don't say that. Like this, and how that can lead to not feeling free in our relating, where we go, no one understands me. But then the mirror comes back on us and we go, but I haven't been honest with anyone, or like that nobody nobody sees me for who I truly am, but then realizing, but I don't show anyone who I truly am. It's like
Hmm.
becomes that mirror back in through the 59 of like, and again, I think that like how I was saying that somebody that lives romantically is so impactful to another and it's invigorating for another. It makes me think of transparency. Um, One of the women in my program at the moment in the attraction sphere has the 59, and so she was contemplating, and she brought in this analogy of the ocean water. And when you're in the ocean and it's crystal clear, when the water is transparent, you feel so safe in that water. When you can see your feet, when you can see the sand through the water, especially here in Western Australia, where we've got so many sharks, when you can see through the water, you just feel very safe in the transparent water. Whereas,
Sure.
and that's the energy of that you get off someone living romantically, transparently, free to be themselves. In dishonesty is the murky water. And so when you're in water and you can't see your own feet, even if there's nothing in the water, you're on
Hmm.
edge, you know, and this is how we can feel in the aura or the attractor field of another in their relating when they believe that they can't be transparent. So they've muddied the water so someone can't fully see them.
Hmm.
And we make other people feel uncomfortable or unsafe in our presence through our own dishonesty. But then we victimize ourselves, being like, no one understands me, but all we showed them was murky water. It's an
Sure. I think
interesting analogy that I've just been thinking
no,
about.
I love the analogy. I think that's a great picture. I would argue that it's actually like the opposite. Like freedom disrupts more people than dishonesty. Dishonesty is like a real common way most people relate, but like if I was gonna pluck you and drop you,
Mm-hmm.
like I don't know, like in a I don't want to be stereotypical though. I don't know, but like just in like a room full of people, like the freedom's internal freedom's like bright. It's not
Mm-hmm.
compromised. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
it naturally holds so many projections because it's like not holding itself to a projection, or at least
Mm-hmm.
in its best attempt. So I just noticed in my own life how many, like what kind of mirror I am for someone. I guess that's part of like finding romance is like realizing what mirror is like taking shape in this moment,
Mm-hmm.
is like what is where the listening aspect comes in. It's like it's like, oh yeah, like I'm ordering my food, but what else is like there's something else underneath it and we touch it. It's like woven into every single one of our myths. They're like we hold on to those poems and they surface from somewhere so deep and clear at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
The the transparency thing is like, yeah, I've thought about that a lot recently too. It's like I like now I've like grown into like just thinking about like the spaces I used to feel safe in versus like where I feel safe now. It's like honesty is like really the only container. Like if we sense that like another is being dishonest, it doesn't feel safe to like keep kicking it. So, and it's
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily about like in the respect thing, like or in the courtesy, it's not necessarily about sharing every detail of a circumstance or a situation or an emotion, because like the emotions are the wave, um,
Mm-hmm.
or the feelings are the wave. It's like crystallizing into something that's yeah, like resonant and distilled. Uh, Like there's a lot of privacy and transparency. I've
Mm,
thought about this a lot, but like it's like they both give weight. Like you were saying with you and uh Bevan, like you guys each have this like, and me and Courtney too, we have like deeply private lives
mhm, mhm,
that are also orbiting and dancing
mm,
all the time, you know?
mhm.
And it's just a bunch of fun at
Yeah.
the end of the day. Romance is just like,
It
it's like, how
is.
much fun can I possibly have?
Yeah. And fun is a way of entering my life more deeply, not as a way of trying to escape my life as it is. I think that's like the difference, you know?
Right.
Like, yeah, romance, like the fun, not as escapism, but as lowering ourselves down into that stream of our life and just letting it. Oh, in Gene Key 2, where Richard's like, let the water in, let it crush you, let it drown you, let
Sure.
life in. It's like that's part of romance and like just that yin nature of what the Gene Keys transmission is bringing into our hearts. It's like, what if you were safe to just drown in the water,
Mhm.
and it's paradoxical, it's not that it's not about self-sacrifice or anything like that, but it's actually just about truly allowing yourself and having the courage, coming back to that word again, to truly partake in your life, that you've been gifted your life, not, and this is where like we romance is different to romanticizing. Like, 'cause we can try and romanticize our lives and then we get stuck in the shadow of fantasy, right? Where it's like, oh, and it's always out here. Romanticizing is out here. But it's like, no, I'm here to be in a romance with my life as it fucking is, with all of its pain and all of its suffering and all of its tragedy and all of its grief and all of its joy and all of its fun and all of its passion and all of its numbness and like the whole shebang. And to be in a romance with the complete archetype, shadow, gift, city, to be in a romance with the dance that we move through, to be and that romantic energy just pours more water on the seeds of our shadows, which are our seeds of divinity, and just giving ourselves over to it. It's like the romance is waiting for us.
Right. That was beautiful. Thank you. I so much to say, I'm sure, but so much, so often the words get in the way of the
Mhm.
romance.
Mm. I feel like this was such
Yeah,
a beautiful conversation. I even
for
dressed
you.
romantically in my pink. I was like, I'm gonna dress romantically today.
It's great. I dress like a scrub, so uh
Divine balance, mate.
right. I mean, there's so much to be said, I think on authenticity and
Mm.
intimacy as within romance,
Mm-hmm.
as an archetype and about like access to these things. But I guess yeah, I'm curious what like something to offer anyone listening, like of like finding more romance. What's the knack in some sense, or what's like the
Mm. The contemplation.
something like that.
Mm.
Maybe Well, I guess to me it's like just kind of what you said. It's like letting in, like it begins with that state of receptivity, really, and then
Hmm. Hmm.
to me all the flowers come after. And
Mm.
okay, I remember finally I was like, there's been something like hanging in my field that I've been trying to like say. It's like uh that might be a good place to end. Is like in the original 55th audio, like Richard speaking, it's like to access freedom and like to access romance, like nothing in your life need change at all.
Hmm.
And that's been like a really powerful
Hmm.
tool in like contemplation for me is like considering that it's nothing externally that has to shift for me to find this and
Hmm.
for it to come alive in
Hmm.
whatever I'm doing.
Hmm.
And I think that is just a really good trinket to hold on to
Absolutely.
because I feel it this week is like just, especially when things are not going as planned, you know. Rome,
Yeah.
the shadow side of romance has a lot of plans, like you said, romanticizing. So
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah. Or
letting,
planning is the dilemma of fantasy. So there you
is it?
go. Yep.
You're such an ace with those. Yeah.
Yeah, like,
You
and
little
but
frother.
this is the piece though. This is the entry point, exactly what you're talking about. And like, if I was to leave anybody with anything around this to see more of it crack open in your life, and this is what I've personally been doing as well, is to capture those moments where you're in resistance to your life as it is. Capture those moments where you believe that something needs to be different in order for you to be free or in order for you to be in love with your life right now. And then enter the contemplation, ask the question, well, what might it look like to be in love with myself even here? What might it look like to be in a romance with life right here? So I feel like it's that awareness of the shadow state of where I'm not feeling free, where I'm not feeling in the romance, and then just asking the question, not trying to force yourself into it, but asking the question always with the word might. Well, what might romance look like right now? What might it feel like if I was deeply in love with myself right now? And that's the crack point.
Hmm.
There's like nothing more than that, really, to take us to these places and experience. Like, ooh, the veil just kind of starts to lift in these sorts of questions when we just hold them in the field of our own resistance.
Right.
I feel like every time that we do a conversation, I feel like it's just such a romance with the gene keys, with each other's love for the gene keys. It's like we get to enter into these romances outside of our primary relationship, which is a very particular flavor of romance. But like there's so much romance out there for us in our
Yeah.
fractal and outside of our fractal, just in life when we let ourselves partake.
Hmm.
I feel like I've just, each time you've been speaking, I've just sort of been sitting and even I've been contemplating the frequency of romance as I'm listening to you. And like I just felt myself get more lost in your words and your mannerisms and just even in the way that this conversation unfolds when I bring my awareness to that romance. Like I'm just whipped up in it. And it's just like, this is available to me, you know?
Hmm. Thank you. Yeah, I feel the same. I feel like we're definitely, I think this is like our sixth time dropping
Mm.
in, and I feel more and more just unveiling and the naturalness of like how we talk to one another and
Mm,
where the jinkies are leading us, and it's yeah, it's a
mm,
special dance.
mhm,
Um, yeah, and like so much of romance, and I will say this because I actually have to run because I have to go dance, but so much of
yeah.
romance is also communicated and like played out in like so many different ways of like language, like you were saying, the love language of like affirmation and
Mm,
whatnot. It's like all the ways, all the symbols, all the stories, all the revolutions that happen to turn and like get me just to be like, I'm here. And
mm, mm.
I don't know, you gotta,
I
I,
feel I feel deliciously complete. I got tears in
yeah,
my eyes. Just I feel like mm, this feels perfect. It feels delicious. It's been very romantic.
yeah, I'm sure it will continue.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, thank you if you've been
Mm.
listening in.
Yeah, thank you
And
everyone.
thank you for waking up early to jump
It's
in
part of the
to the clear
romance.
water.
I'm going to the beach later today for a swim. I've been swimming in the ocean in the cold weather, and it is a, it
I'm
is a new
jealous.
kind of
Sounds
romance that
amazing.
I'm enjoying in my life. Yeah.
Is the water cold?
It's freezing.
It's freezing. Yeah,
Oh, it's so invigorating. Yeah, learning to
that'll do
fall in
it.
love with it. Mm,
Right.
mm.
That's it. That's like such a good image of romance to me. It's just like jumping into freezing cold water and you like pop out and you're like, ah, I'm still
Especially when
here.
it's wild. Like we have quite there's some days where it's just gentle, but traditionally the ocean we live on, it's wild. And so often the waves are like, you know, 3, 4 times overhead. I don't go out into those, but then like just the white water. So I'll just be in the wild white water and I'm just under there and I'm like, and when you get out, you've got sand all through your swimsuit. Like because it's
Yeah.
just and my hair is full of sand and it's like this wild love. It's just this wild love of the ocean and yeah, it's a new thing for me because I'm afraid of the cold, afraid of the waves, and it's just been this beautiful initiation for me at the moment of yeah, going in.
Right.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think nothing more romantic than facing your fears.
Yes. Ah, so good. I'm gonna hit the end live stream on the YouTube end, and
Cool.
then we can say a quick goodbye to Lawrence, to each other, Lawrence. But
Yeah.
thank you so much, everyone, for joining us and
Yeah.
sending you those
Thank you.
romantic frequencies. Well, all right. Well, it's finished on YouTube. Oh, that was so good.